Hey folks, Barry here. Just wanted to take some time to talk about something that I've been playing with here for a while now recently. And it came about because of a number of things. First of all, in the last, year and a half or so, ammo prices have been insane. I'm not going to get into all the reasons why, but of course, everybody has seen those prices going nuts and knows what I'm talking about. Prices are starting to come back a little bit, making things a little bit more affordable for ammo. So some of us are finally able to get out and shoot a little bit more than we used to. But for some time, just being able to go out to the range and practice things has been somewhat cost prohibitive. Um, it's not really feasible for me to go out and shoot 500 rounds to practice, to be working on things like reloads and trigger control and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing a lot more dry fire recently, which is something that everybody should be doing anyway. This sort of ammo shortage, if you will, which wasn't really a shortage, it's just so expensive, has really driven me to get into the dry fire game a lot more. I've done a lot with pistols, primarily, just my daily carry gun, a couple others. Really easy to do with pistols because I can just, get the gun out, take a trigger press, just kind of pantomime going through trigger a bunch of shots, string of shots, or whatever, doing reloads, all kinds of things, practicing little drills. And one of the things that I've been using is my Mantis, my little MantisX, the original one that I have, which I've had for some years now. Picked it up after SHOT Show, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. Whenever they were just coming out, I was able to get one. And on that note, not too long ago, Mantis actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got some newer products that we'd like. We thought you might like to get some time with, see how they work, and tell us what you think." So went down their list. They've got a new version of the pistol Mantis, which at the time was really just pistol, mounted onto the accessory rail on a pistol. Over time, they developed, of course, a little adapter to put it on magazines, which is great for smaller guns. Like I've got a little 1911 that doesn't have a light rail, so I could put it on the magazine if I want to. Some software updates, stuff like that, that they've also got. And the one that interested me the most, and that I said, "Oh, absolutely, I would love to play with one of these," is this guy. This is the Mantis Blackbeard. And so what this is not like the other Mantis, which uses, you know, all kinds of technology and weird magic to kind of show you how your shots are breaking and where you might be getting your shots to, timing, things like that. This is a replacement set for AR platform rifle. And so what this does is this allows you to get dry fire reps with the AR without having to reset the trigger with every manipulation of the trigger. So, of course, with an AR, every time you pull the trigger and it breaks, you got to get that charging handle, run that back to reset the trigger and be ready to go again. What the Blackbeard does is it uses a replacement insert for the bolt carrier group here, and this guy, which is essentially got the mechanical stuff inside it and the battery. So this goes into the magazine while this replaces the bolt carrier group. And what that does is it resets the trigger for you. So you can pull the trigger, feel that trigger break, and not have to run the charging handle to reset it. It's a pretty simple little design. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a scientist. So I'm not going to get into all the mechanics of how it works. And I think for most of us, that's probably not quite so important to know. I'm just going to tell you what it does, what I think about it, what I've been using it for, and what I think of it so far. So basically, like I said, it comes as a replacement for the bolt carrier group and this second piece here. On the bottom there is a nice little cutout on it, and you should be able to see that. So what that's got is just a little kind of a lever there that when it's actuated via the trigger pull, it resets the trigger. And again, this is the battery, got a couple little terminal points here. They make the connection here. Real quick, I'm wearing a glove because my guns are dirty and I don't want to get super dirty. I'm already getting it over here, but whatever. So what it does is when this is installed in place of the bolt carrier group and this is in your magazine well, these little battery points come together. When you pull the trigger, and you can actually see it here when I do it just like this, it just, little thing pops down, resets the trigger for you. So, works pretty simply. This is kind of akin to something like the cool fire trainers that reset triggers on things like a Glock if you're using it. So, gonna give you a quick little demonstration of how this works. Again, it's just a simple drop-in replacement for the bolt carrier group and the magazine. So the first thing that I've got here, of course, is pistol. This is magazine out. It is completely clear. Always make sure you're doing that whenever you're in a dry fire. Just take out the pins here. We're going to do this real quick. Remove that. Okay, so now your, again, bolt carrier group and your charging handle both come out. The Mantis drops right in. Pretty simple little thing. Close this up. Now, since this is, slightly different sizes than the bolt carrier group or whatever, it's going to be a little tight putting it back together, but I assure you that it will go together. So if you've got to kind of finesse it a little bit, it will go in. So there it's installed. Again, since it's not doing anything, just doesn't move or whatever. The battery pack compartment thing, whatever you want to call it, I'm not sure what the technical term for it is, goes into the magazine, and you can probably already hear it as it makes its first contact. So that's it clicking into place. Now it's just like a magazine, so it's got a little shelf there to catch in place. You will have to push the release to get it back out, whatever. And again, what it does is when you're ready to start doing your dry fire, just go to off safe just like you normally would. Pull the trigger. There's your dry fire. Now what the Mantis has done already is reset it. So now the trigger pops right back into position to be able to manipulate it again. So this has been really helpful for me working on things like just basic like up drills. It's pretty simple, just being able to manipulate, get a couple of practice shots, practice reps like that, starting from however we want to do it, coming back on the safety, however. The Mantis does have a laser built into it. So it's got two little holes right there, these two guys. Those are for adjusting the laser up and down a little bit so that you can see it down through the bore while you're shooting. There are two options. The options are either constant on, which is just that, constant on. The laser is on the entire time that you're using it, the entire time that the battery is connected to it, and it's got juice. Or just kind of a flash of it when you actually manipulate the trigger. So for me, I have set it to just when the trigger's being pressed, and I'm not sure if we'll be able to see it through there. Nope, but I can put it on my little target back here. You can see it if I get on the target. So, little flash of green there when I'm using it. Um, that's helped me. That's been pretty nice because, when doing things like an up drill where I can get my optic, my red dot, looking at the target, see what I'm shooting at, and be able to see that green flash to show that, yep, it's in the area. It's about where I want it to be. So if I'm doing this, I can see also from here that since I'm only like 5 feet away from that target, even though I'm aiming dead center at the 10 ring, the flash is low because mechanical offset is still a thing. So, like I said, for me, what I've been doing a lot with this is just dry fire stuff at home. I have been able to get a lot more reps than I used to, just because even though, without it, you can do a lot of, practice just kind of pantomiming your trigger pulls. But of course, that doesn't get you the actual feel of how the trigger break is actually feeling. So it is a little different. I've had this for just a couple of weeks now. Probably now I'm probably up to 1,000, 1,200, something like that trigger presses with it. Trying it out, just having fun. Dry firing around the house. I took this over to the shop a couple of weeks ago just to get some other input. Folks were talking about it. We're trying it in different guns because, of course, compatibility with the guns is, of course, very important. And just being standard AR size, of course, it fit in everything that we used, that we tried it with. I've primarily been using it with this guy at home just because, as I've said in previous videos, this has sort of become my, home defense gun. And so this is the one that I've really been trying to practice working with, manipulating, getting shots, working on the safety, manipulation, that kind of thing. So in that regard, the Blackbeard has been a huge help. If nothing else, just giving me a lot of practice, getting a good shot and then getting back onto the safety, whether I want to be doing, a string of shots and then back on the safe, one at a time, and then going back, whatever. It's been really great. And so, like I said, I took it into the shop to get some feedback from some other shooters there. And one of the big questions that was asked by one of the guys was, okay, but so what? What does this do? What value does this add to my training regimen or my dry fire practice for the day? And honestly, I think that's a really good question. And I think that the answer is probably different for a lot of people. You could probably ask 10 people and get 10 different answers. And so what I can tell you is just in my personal experience and then what I think it adds, just kind of overarching. And for me, like I said, it's added a lot of value in being able to do multiple strings of dry fire practice, multiple transitions going target to target without having to, go for one target, reset, go to the next one, reset, go to the next one, reset, kind of thing. Now, I am fully aware of the fact that you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Just get up there and get the one break and then just, pantomime the whole thing. That's fine. I don't have any problem with that. Like I said, with the Blackbeard, what I'm appreciating a lot out of it is being able to get that reset and being able to know exactly where, the trigger break in conjunction with the laser is helping me to be really aware of not just the sights and where I'm looking, but knowing the fact that when I break that, I can see the laser, I can see where my shot moved to. And that's particularly been helpful as I've been working on, like I said, transition drills. So going from one target, two target, three, whatever it happens to be, and knowing that I'm, if I come over too far and drive past the target, it might still be showing, I might still be able to see it through the tube on that red dot, but being able to actually pull the trigger, see that laser, has helped me a lot with working on driving the gun laterally like that, if you will. So again, for me, saving, being able to do that without having to reset it, saving time has been has been a big thing for me. You know, because I appreciate not having to stop every time, every shot, or even between, you know, strings of 3 or 4 shots if I happen to be just kind of, you know, faking it as we go, and having to reset that. So that's been a big help for me. That's I think probably the biggest thing that I've had. I've, like I said, I've probably got 1,200 or so trigger presses on it. On the technical side, the battery is one thing that I've been that initially concerned me, and the fact that it is a very proprietary setup. You know, there's the battery and everything built right into here. I'm not aware of whether or not Mantis sells this thing individually. If you happen to, you know, burn it down enough that battery doesn't hold a charge anymore or whatever. I have a feeling that these are pretty robust and will hold up for quite a long time. I did an initial charge on it up to 100%. It took some time to charge it. I think it's got 3 indicator bars. There was 1 bar lit when I got it, so charging up fully took about 3 hours, which isn't super fast, I don't think. Again, like, I'm not an engineer, so I don't know exactly what kind of battery is in this or if that's a good charging time. But if it's something that you have with you and you notice the battery is low and it's running a little sluggish, charging it up full way, all the way, might take some time. Now, that being said, I have roughly 1,200 or so trigger presses with it, and it's still showing a full charge. So I've been hoping to kind of run it down all the way just to get a rough idea of what kind of lifespan it gets just on a single charge. And like I said, it's still full. I don't know how long I'd have to be using it in order to actually run it down. So while the charging time might seem a little long, the life of the full charge seems quite long. And so I don't think I don't see that ever being an issue for me. It's just a simple USB, micro USB charging. If I'm out at the range or something and it happens to die, I've got a little battery pack I could plug into it. I can charge it through, you know, with the truck, plug it in there, charge it for 15-20 minutes, and probably get a couple hundred presses out of it. So while that was one of my initial concerns, I think that that's completely abated. I think that this is just going to last you as long as you want. If you do get to the point where it runs down and you get upset about the fact that it's done, I think my question would be, why didn't you plug it in for a little bit when there was only 1 bar? So that's just me, and I like to do maintenance on stuff and check battery levels and things. So that's the Mantis Blackbeard in a nutshell. Again, a fairly simple idea. I think it's been very well executed. It works great. I've shot this. I shouldn't say shot. I've used this quite extensively so far. It keeps on going. It resets the trigger quickly. I haven't had any issues of outrunning it, so I haven't had any times when I'm trying to shoot so fast that it doesn't keep up. At least I should say, not any issues that can't be attributed to me. Perhaps, you know, not quite coming back off of the trigger far enough for it to actually catch that reset. So this is, so far, it's been really good. It's worked exactly as advertised, done exactly what I wanted it to do. which is provide me opportunity for some really good dry fire practice, some really good practice doing short little drills inside the house, little up drills, transition drills, that kind of thing. Nothing super fancy, but stuff that I like to work on at the range anyway. And if I can't get out to the range and shoot 500 bucks worth of ammo in a day, then it's nice to be able to get some semblance of that experience here at home. I think one of the I don't even want to call it a drawback, but one of the things that is definitely to be considered is the expense of it, because the Mantis Blackbeard runs about 250 bucks, so it's not exactly cheap. For me, I think that cost is going to be very easily and very well offset by the fact that I can practice with it so much. It's gotten me a lot of time, watching TV or watching, hanging out at home, and I can just throw it in there and get 200-300 trigger presses in at a time just to practice, keep my trigger finger spry, if you will. And so while it's not cheap, I think that a lot of people over time will definitely be seeing good value out of it. It's not for everybody, but I think anybody who's willing to take a chance on it will probably be pretty well impressed and consider that cost to be well worth it. So again, when you're finished with it, as I am now, since it clicks into the magazine well, just gonna hit that release there. It comes out. Oops, if I move my camera around a little bit. Just gonna take that pin back out, and again, since it's a little bit different than a standard bolt carrier, pins can be a little tough. Get that out. Open it up, and this guy comes right back out. And as I mentioned with the glove and everything, my guns tend to run pretty dirty. I'm not a huge proponent of cleaning. I'm a proponent of maintenance. Don't get me wrong. There's a difference between having a dirty gun and having a gun that's broken. Anyway, totally different subject. But so that means that the inside of my guns tends to be a little rough. So as you can see, taking this out, it's got all kinds of crud all over it. After having this in 2 or 3 different ARs, I haven't noticed that makes any difference. The battery terminals stay nice and clean. I guess if you wanted to, you could just make sure that this, stays cleaned up. The little actuator inside there is pretty dirty, and that's from it, touching the top of the trigger when it's in the gun. I might just give it a little wipe down there to get some of that off of there. But while I don't think I would throw this in there if the gun had a whole bunch of like sand or whatever in it, just standard carbon buildup from the, a little bit from the lubrication. There's just a bunch of Slip 2000 all over this now. Hasn't affected it one bit. So simple enough. And that is the Mantis Blackbeard. Again, just a simple idea that I think was pretty well executed. It's got a nice handy little carrying case. If you have one of the original Mantis kits, they came in a really nice, like small Pelican case. Of course, shipping out a whole bunch of actual Pelican cases with this would probably be pretty expensive and add costs that people don't necessarily need. So pretty nice little carrying case if you want to use that. Otherwise, these things are pretty tough. You could probably just throw that in a range bag if you need to. But so that's the Blackbeard. Again, it's the resets the trigger, so you don't have to do it yourself. Lets you get a whole bunch of trigger presses without going through a bunch of extra motions. For me, it's been great. I kind of love it, and I'm really looking forward to getting a whole lot more use out of it. As always, thanks for watching. Anybody who's local to me, feel free to shoot me a message. Come over and try it out. We can take it out to the range, or we can meet up. You can come over here and play with it. always want to get, other feedback, other people's opinions on it. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, whatever, go ahead, leave a comment, and I'll probably answer you because I have lots of free time. That's it. Thanks.